Now, where we're going now, Consumer New Zealand wants the government to crack down on what it calls a systemic problem of misleading supermarket prices. The consumer organisation says shoppers are too often being stung at the checkout and paying more than the advertised shelf price for items. New World and Pack and Save owner Foodstuffs said it took pricing accuracy seriously and had invested in systems and staff training to reduce errors. But consumers said pricing errors might seem small for individuals, but the practice is costing the country and New Zealanders and shoppers tens of millions of dollars a year. Jessica Walker is the acting head of research and advocacy for Consumer New Zealand, and she joins us now. Jessica, good afternoon.
Hi there, how are you?
Well, I'm very good. Let's talk first this petition, Consumer New Zealand's petition, wanting the government to enforce clear pricing rules. Can we look at what specific changes, Jess, are being called for? One suggestion is requiring supermarkets to automatically compensate consumers when pricing errors occur. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing this, we're calling the Price It Right campaign, and we think there's two prongs to this. So one is calling on the supermarkets to price it right in the first place, and two is calling on the government to make sure that the penalties are priced right if supermarkets, behave badly, because at the moment we think they're getting away. Well, the fines are just, we think they're pretty paltry, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so in terms of what that means for a customer, so we're saying if you are charged the wrong price for a number of reasons, so it could be that the shelf price doesn't match the price when you go to pay at the checkout. It could be a special that is not a special at all, and you can see the evidence. We've had evidence of this in the past where there's like a super saver. People pick up that, lift that sticker up, and actually the super saver price is more expensive than the everyday price. So we're saying when that happens, then you should be within your rights to get a refund. So the specifics we're saying is if you are overcharged, you should get the item for free and a refund.
Free and a refund?
That's what we're saying. So Woolworths do offer this now. Not a lot of people know about it. And from what we hear, it depends who you see at the supermarket as to whether they actually honour that policy or not, but that is their policy.
Okay.
A New World are telling us that they're taking this really seriously. Pack and Save, Foodstuffs, as you said, saying they're taking this very seriously. But in all honesty, this is the number one complaint that we get from our members, supporters, and just members of the public. They're so fed up of this. They send us evidence. We get photographs. So this isn't a problem that is going away anytime quickly. So we're saying, the supermarkets, they're costing us, the cost of food is really high and we can't bring that down and we can't just magic up a third competitor. But what we can do pretty quickly is say, actually, this is one thing that is within their remit to be able to address. And so let's focus on that in the short term and just, hopefully put a bit more money in everybody's pocket.
So I wonder, Jessica, and I don't do it, so I'm guilty of just looking at the price and because I don't even look online if that lined up, and then I'm just going, I want baked beans, sausages. Oh my God, how are they $4.50? And then I just put them in my trolley and I begrudgingly pay for it. Is part of the issue? I mean, I know there are people that will look and lift up stickers but do you think the problem here too, a lot of it is we just want in and out, do our shopping, and we don't look?
Oh, I think absolutely. And, most people, they don't religiously check the cost on the shelf and then the cost of the receipt. And also, let's be honest, a weekly shop could be upwards of 80 items. And how can we possibly keep all that in our heads?
Exactly.
And so sadly, we are saying that the shopper's going to have to take a bit of responsibility for this. But that's where we're saying actually this incentive of if you look out for it, then you'll get the product for free and some money back. Then actually hopefully that will just inspire some people to do it. But you'd be amazed the amount of people that know exactly what an item is supposed to cost, and that's when they know that they're being ripped off, and those people get in touch with us, and that's how we've got this evidence base that we know this is an issue. So I've probably mentioned to you before that we do a lot of surveying at Consumer New Zealand, and one of the things that we've found recently is that 62% of shoppers told us, and this is nationally representative, so we can say 62% of people across the country have told us that they have noticed shopping errors at the supermarket, pricing errors at the supermarket,
Yeah.
So we
that's a good
think this
big
is a
number.
big enough problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of quick math. What's that? 2/3 nearly. So that's a
Jess,
lot of shoppers.
that is. Look, it's already illegal to mislead
Yeah.
consumers on pricing with the Fair Trading Act. So what's going
Yeah.
wrong here?
So in all honesty, the Fair Trading Act is, the protections that we've got currently. But in order to make a complaint, it means gathering evidence, submitting that to the Commerce Commission, and then the Commerce Commission deciding whether there's enough of a case there for them to investigate. We know that supermarkets are in their top hitters as well in terms of complaints. But just to give you an example, so you've maybe heard that recently some supermarkets have had charges filed against them for these misleading pricing and promotional practices, and a couple of stores recently pled guilty to that. So this followed a complaint that we put into the Commission in July 2023 about ongoing pricing and promotional practices, which they then did go and investigate, and we're really pleased about that. But those pricing errors were based on amazing evidence that members of the public sent to us over 2022 and 2023. Now we're in 2025, and sentencing is expected for some of these stores, I believe, in November. So at which point we're looking at nearly 4 years since some of these initial complaints came in. So we're saying it takes so long. And so, we've got that really long process, and then potentially fines of up to $600,000 per offence, which does sound massive, to the regular New Zealander. $600,000 is huge. But when we think about the supermarket's profits, and we're saying how frequently these pricing and promotional errors are hitting us in the back pocket, we're just saying too long. So yes, the FTA is great, but we think that we need something that's quicker and actually is going to hit the supermarkets where it hurts.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. Consumers calling for infringement notice powers. Am I right? And who would actually be responsible for issuing fines? What's this about?
That would be the Commerce Commission again. And when we were talking about this as a team, I think the easiest way to think about this is a bit like your speeding tickets. If you get caught speeding and then the police are onto you, they could issue you a speeding ticket there and then. So it's kind of similar from a supermarket perspective. So if the Commerce Commission were to think, actually, there's an ongoing issue here, they could hit them with a fine straight away, and it wouldn't be massive. We're not talking millions, but a fine that would be served to them pretty much straight away, which would be, I guess, kind of instant, which at the moment is something that's really missing. The example I just gave you, which is, getting on for 3-4 years from initial complaint into investigation, into charges, into fines. So it kind of does away with some of that.
You mentioned, Jess, about Australia and what they do, and I find it interesting, and I think I have spoken it on the show. The listeners might be aware or might not be aware, but yes, supermarkets there can be fined up to $50 million per offence, or 30% of global turnover on, whichever is highest. And then you mentioned at the moment the maximum fee is $600,000. Does consumer want penalties that severe?
So we're saying in kind of scalability, I suppose. So 50 million is huge, and of course that's an incentive for businesses there to behave. And that's not to say that all the businesses there are squeaky clean, because we know they're not. But what we're saying is something more in line with that. So this whole proportion of the turnover during the breach period, we think that's really appealing. Or the other Australian kind of framework that they use, so as you say, the $50 million, or 30% of the turnover during the breach, or 3 times the value of the benefit obtained, if that can be determined. And that's another argument we've got here. So many of us use loyalty cards, obviously not at Pack and Save, but at Woolworths or New World. So we think that means that supermarkets know if a pricing error is brought to their attention, they'd be able to tell how many customers have been caught out. And so we're saying that they should be instantly refunded, whether that's a credit on your loyalty account. I don't know how the workings would be, but we're saying there's an audit trail there. So by the same token, surely they could have an idea of the benefit that's been obtained by that pricing error and it being undetected. Yeah. So the technology exists.
Of course it does. I mean, interesting. I heard an interview with your CEO, Jessica, John Duffy. I mean, he's been on my show quite a few times. Good man. He doesn't want to see 50 million. He thinks somewhere along the lines of 10 million would kind of be where he was looking at.
I think
here's my
right.
taking. I just think, I even think more than 10 million, because I mean, surely even that 600,000 to me is ridiculously low. That's to me a weekend's taking for the big chains. And I just think a higher one would be a real deterrent if they knew they were going to get 10, 15 million. 20 million, 30 million, whatever it is. And beyond just fines, and you might know this too, some supermarkets also in Australia could face additional court orders requiring them to fund community programs such as charity meal delivery, and also alter their promotional practices to ensure transparency and compliance. That's another little thing we should tag on.
That does sound really appealing, doesn't it? And I know that there's lots of supermarkets in the communities doing great things, but I think these are all really good points. And I think we're gonna hear more and more about investment in processes and systems and trying to fix prices. And what we're saying is it's all well and good, but the evidence suggests that these problems are not going away. So let's put incentives in place so that they're sorted pretty quickly.
Nice. Where can we find this petition, Jessica? By the way, I've already signed it, but
Oh, smashing. Thank you. If you head to consumer.org.nz, it's our lead story. And just click a link and there's all the details there about exactly what it is that we're calling for, how we think it should work. And if you're just happy to sign your name, we're aiming to get 20,000 signatures in the last 24 hours. We've nearly got to 10,000, so we're really thrilled with that. And then our plan is to hopefully hand this petition over to Minister Willis to show her that there is real public ambition for changes to happen quickly.
It's interesting, Jessica, because Minister Willis has said over the last couple of days, weeks actually, Nicola has said that she's well aware of the pain at the tills and what people are going through. She says that, so I'm hoping, I'm just hoping that those in the beehive do really take it seriously. They say they are, so we shall see.
I really hope so too.
Yeah. So consumerNZ.co.in, what is it again? I should have written this down.
Consumer.org.nz.
Sorry. All right.
No, well, good. That's a lot to remember.
That is. Jessica, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. That is Jessica Walker. She's the Acting Head of Research and Advocacy for Consumer New Zealand. So, guys, put your name to the petition, consumer.org.nz. Put my little John Hancock in there today. But I do say, as I said, I don't know how serious this government's taking it. Yes, they talked about, opening up the doors to a third party to come in, cutting red tape, but no one is sitting out there eyeing up New Zealand, Aldi, or all the others going, oh man, you can roll out the red carpet and fly me over business, but we're not going to make any money here, lady. You gotta clamp down on other things first.